So it's quite common when people take their company public to simply list where they live. So if you're an Australian company, you end up on the ASX, and if you're a English company, you end up on the AIM or the FTSE, and so on and so on. Actually, this can be quite damaging to shareholder value. I mean, after all, most of what I talk about is how you can increase the share value of a business, or how you can maximize shareholder value in a business. So it strikes me that if you don't do the analysis to figure out which exchange is best for your size, type of business, your business model, what you're planning to execute, where people have the most comparable things that they can, because they always like to compare you to other things so they can invest in you. I think when you don't look at the whole picture, you can destroy an awful lot of shareholder value. Now, it's very easy. You can see people who really recognize this, like the Australian mining companies are listed in London because that's where they get the best depth of capital and the best valuation for their business. The understanding of that business model works really well. There's loads of other examples. Tech companies listing in the US on NASDAQ because that's where they get the best valuation. Healthcare companies listing in Asia. If you've got a China story, listing in Hong Kong for that Chinese investor interest. So, there are some great examples of people that have maximized that, but there are also a sea of examples of businesses that are just listed in an exchange that's not great for their sector and not great for their type of business. So, don't be lazy and list where you live. It's a little bit tricky because actually when you go and see the advisors, if you're, say, here in Singapore and you go and see all of the investment banks or corporate finance companies here in Singapore, well, they're affiliated to the SGX, to the Singapore Stock Exchange. So their recommendation is always going to be to list your company on the Singapore Stock Exchange. Now, there are a couple of advantages to doing that, and there's a couple of sectors that work really well on the Singapore Stock Exchange, but there are a whole bunch that don't. So you might find you're getting completely unsuitable advice because they've really only got one thing to sell you. So guess what? That's the thing that they try and sell you. So always think about where you're going to list your company in terms of what industry you're in, what your business model you're trying to execute is, and where is the most suitable exchange to do it. All the information is publicly available. You just have to do the grunt work and sift through it.